Okay, that's a great way to start a show with lots of energy. And here I have some palms that were sent to me by a friend. So I'm doing them for a friend. But you can go pick up canvas shoes just about anywhere inexpensively. And first, we're going to start by making sure they're clean. I wiped them down with a damp rag so there's no lint or anything on them. Some people suggest wipe them down with alcohol or acetone. That's up to you. You want to be careful that if you have color on here that you don't wipe them off and get, with something that's going to harm the color, bleach the color up. Have a piece of paper, just copy paper, and I put the shoe on top of the copy paper. And then I'll take a pencil or a Sharpie marker. Don't use your fabric ones, but take like a Sharpie marker and draw the outline of the shoe. Draw beyond this because it wraps around, so you want some buffer here. That's the first step. Once you do that, you have an idea of the area that you have to design. For this one too, I'm also going to put that there is this kind of thing right here where the end of her part that goes over her toe is. So I know that that's my area to design in. If you know how to draw, you don't need this piece of paper. You can take your fabric pen and go right to your canvas. The reason why I use a fabric pen first is so that if something doesn't line up or it doesn't look like you expected it to, this will dissolve with air. So you don't have to worry about it, just design right over that. So that's what's good about this process. In the meantime, I took some ideas from stencils. So you can stencil on a design. It's hard to do this here because the paint's going to bleed underneath it. That's why I do all my designing on the paper first. So you can stencil this on to this paper and you'll have an idea where your drawing's going to be. Or the other thing I did was used a rubber stamp. So I took the rubber stamp with some Stays On ink and I rubber stamped onto paper the designs I wanted to use. If you're going to use a rubber stamp on the paper. Next, because we can't put that on our shoe, is to get some interfacing. And this interfacing is a little more tightly woven. This interfacing is very loose. What happens with this is you might be able to transfer your design on, but it starts tearing as you transfer it on your shoe. So I wouldn't suggest this being an option. Use this one that's more. So I placed this on here like that. And then I traced on my interfacing with my Identi-pen. Identi-pen. And this is good because it doesn't bleed. So on the new design I'm creating a bunch of well-known character images of different sizes. So what I can do is put my my interfacing on my drawing. And with my Identi-pen, I can start drawing my design. So now I'm wrapping it over my shoe, and I need to get this design onto the shoe. In order to do that, I'm going to take this and hold this taut to my shoe. Now, if you have stuff that you can push down in this, that would be good to make it more firm. But if you take your erasable pen and you start drawing over this.
Does it go through? Oh.
Yeah, it should be going through. You do the ears and then. So it needs to be a little bit firmer. That's why if you have something in there like the shoe, what do they call those? Not shoe horns, but.
Form.
Yeah. So see how it comes through? So there's the lily. So if you draw 3 petals and then put 3 petals in between them, you'll have this lily. See? This is the rose, and I put the rose over here. And then this is the hydrangea.
You put that on with a stamp and not tracing paper? Or?
So I put the stays on stamp here.
Uh-huh.
Then I took my interfacing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And placed that on top of here.
Okay.
Whichever way I did it. And then traced it on with my Identi-pen.
Okay.
Then put it on my shoe with the purple air erasable marker, and then traced over it with the Identi-pen again.
Oh, okay, okay.
So depending on, when we get the white shoes you can do more colors too. When you get the colored shoes, you have less ability to work with color on it, I think, because you don't know how the color of the shoe is going to affect the paint color. Makes sense?
Okay, well, I have a little butterfly that I drew on here.
Ooh, hold on. Let me go check it out.
A big basic.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be cool. Are you going to put flowers around it, or is it just going to be the butterfly?
No, I want to put something all around it, but I also want to put words. So I want your advice on what I should do. Should I draw a background first or the words first?
Okay, well, you want the whole word on there. So I would put the word first, and then because it's going to be on top of your design so you can read it. And then you want to put the design behind it. Like on this one, I used a stencil and I put stencil from here. And I placed it on there, and with my purple marker, I put it on there, and then I went over it with my Identi-pen.
This disappears after a while, right?
Yep.
We're going to paint over it, and it's just going to be gone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because this was all done with the purple marker, and you can't see any of that purple residual. Now, you can choose to have your designs touching each other or leave space between them. On this one, my designs overlap. So this petal overlaps that, which means when I put this one on, I did not do the full petals. I hid them behind this petal of the lily, as I also hid them hydrangeas behind the petal of the lily and the petal of the rose. You have to know which ones are on top of the other and not go through the design, which is, again, why we do it with the air erase marker, so you don't make a mistake and go through something you don't want. So on this one, because I'm going to do classic black and this color, what I, antique white, if you will, I'm leaving spaces between my design so that when I paint it in, it's not black touching black unless it's the ears touching the face. If you're dealing with colorful tabs and you don't want to cut off or you can't cut off the emblems, then definitely work around them. Now I did these the opposite. I showed you how to do that, right? So after you trace these on one shoe, you flip this over, mirror image, to do the other shoe. So that my roses are together, my hydrangeas are together, and my lilies are on the opposite side. I'm not sure it's so important that the sides and back are identical necessarily, but the toe front should be close to being, unless you want two separate shoes, you can have it be two separate things. I've also seen it be like a painting, like a Van Gogh or something, and that they had the painting go across both tops of the shoes so that together it completed a painting. So that was pretty cool too. Melissa, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm drawing my thing on.
Your black lines on there? That'll
Yeah.
help you in your paint.
Yeah.
That's going to be beautiful. That's great. How you doing, Cheryl?
Okay, I'm just gonna put the hydrangeas on just one side.
Oh, cool. You going to put the butterfly on the other side?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
Okay. That, or you can also put leaves there.
But oh, leaves, yeah.
You don't have to put all the vein lines in there. But cool. Okay, so now you can paint directly on here with the Americana acrylic paint, adding the fabric medium to it, or you can purchase some new paint called DecoArt Stylin. It's called Stylin Paint for Fashion Accessories. And what's great about this product is that says here in the book, it says, breathe new life into favorite purses, shoes, kids, sneakers, jewelry, journals, and more. Transform worn leather pieces into fresh and trendy items, or make over a new piece to express your own style. It's flexible paint specially formulated to prevent cracking and peeling, and it penetrates the surface to create a seamless, durable finish, ideal for leather, vinyl, canvas, and more. So they show pictures here that they paint on the leather shoes or the canvas sneakers or even a bag. They have shoes and belt over here. So it's very good for this purpose. It already has an additive in it. So I want to show you how I'm gonna now change this into this. And I have the new Stylin paints that I'm using from DecoArt. I'm going to be using Brick Fuchsia Red, Purple, Orange, Green, Yellow, and Chestnut. And I'm probably going to throw in some white. I'm going to start with the lily. I'm going to start with using a mixture of these fuchsia and some white. And I'm going to use my flat nylon bristle brush. Get all the water out. And because it's made for fabric, I don't need to mix it with any fabric medium. I'm going to pick up some white on my brush, mix it with some of the pink. You can mix the whole puddle at one time if you want. I kind of like the variation that I create by mixing it on my brush. and go right over your ink lines. While it's wet, on the corner of your dirty brush, pick up some straight fuchsia. And I'm going to start placing that against the center line until it disappears and blend it in. Do the other side. Until it disappears. Do that on all 6 petals, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals. So I'm picking up white to highlight some of the outer petals. While that's drying, I'm gonna go over to the hydrangea, and that's gonna be with the purple and white mix. And for that one, I'm going to use my dome brush. So I'm going to start in the middle and work my petals out. When I get a full blossom, I'll go and tip my brush into the straight purple and then touch it where the petals overlap or where they come out of the center. I can wipe the excess off and just blend a little bit. I think I'm going to want more white, so I'm going to mix a little puddle of this one. I will mix some white. I'm just tapping it in. You can wash your brush out or just wipe it out with, you can wash your brush out or just wipe it out with off the paper towel. Make these a little lighter. You want some a little darker that are in the back. If you want to wait till they're dry before you put the shading on, you can do that as well. So do them all with the light color and then go back. So now what you can do is some white, bring some white back. While it's still wet, you can manipulate the paint or blend the paint to be what you want. If you want it more bold, then you wait till it dries and then add the next color, next value. With a round brush and add the dark. And again, if these petals aren't light enough for you, pick up some white and just go back in and try to heighten some of those petals. Okay, let's do some leaves. I'm going to use some green. And some white. And that seems a little bright to me, so I'm going to introduce yellow and do green and yellow. So I like the green and yellow mix better. So let's go with that, and I'm going to switch brushes. And while that's wet, if I pick up some straight green, it's not dark enough, so I'm going to mix it with a little bit of the purple. So green plus purple is going to make a darker green. And it's just a touch of purple, you don't need a lot. And then we can go in and put in some darker shading where the leaf comes out from against the flowers and down the top of the vein. Put some yellow right on the opposite side of the vein. Now let's work on the rose. In that one I'm going to use the orange and red. So first I'm going to put the orange on, and I'm always going to leave the orange to the outside edge and put the red on the inside, starting with the outside petals. If you want to tape off your sole, you can do that and keep your sole clean. Put the orange on, pick up the red and blend. When it gets to the smaller petals, it's harder to not just put orange on the whole thing and go back with the red after. And as it dries, you're going to see some white markings, so you might want to go back and just touch up either the highlight or the shade. So I'm going to let that rest and go back to our lily, and I'm going to introduce some brick, and that color is going to be what goes up on both sides of the vein line as well, and where a petal goes behind other petals. So with the side of my corner of my brush, I pick up that color and start to place that in. And I'm not going to bring it out as far as I did the fuchsia. So look at your fuchsia, and if you're covering it all up, you need to go back and put more fuchsia. On the hydrangea, if we want to make it have even more depth, try going back with just the purple. But if it doesn't show up, I mean, and it is showing up, so that's good. But if it didn't, I would go back and add a little bit of the green. And now that it's dry, you can actually leave lines. The rose isn't completely dry yet, so I'm going to hit it with a blow dryer. So I have some dark spots on this one, so I'm going to create some dark spots over here so that it has a deeper effect. So I mixed some green with the purple and made it a little darker. And that gives it a little bit more depth. They're not going to be identical because you're working with so many different, you know, you're doing them differently. If you do them at the same time, you know, do both flowers at the same time, then you'll probably have a better chance of getting them closer. So now I'm going to let that set up. The leaves, as far as I'm concerned, are fine. If you wanted to deepen the leaves, more green, less purple, and then you can add some touches of that in there where it's closest to the petals. And now I'm going to add the brick to our rose. So everywhere where you put the red to begin with, go in and start adding your brick. If you want to start on the inside, that's fine. And work it around in the dark areas. You can wipe off and blend if you want. If you lose the orange, just go back in and pick it up and blend with a clean brush. It doesn't have to go in every area where the red is. You can just put it in some. Let's go back to the stamen, and I'm going to hit the tops of the stamen with some chestnut. And then immediately touch on it with the orange. And then the yellow. When this is done drying, and I'll let it sit overnight to dry, I'm going to come back with the Identi-pen and go over all the lines again. And then I'm going to take some fabric fusion and glue these little gems on like you see here. Let that set up overnight before I start wearing them. Okay, how are you doing, Melissa?
Doing pretty good.
Oh, look at that. Now, what medium are you using to do that with?
Well, I have these opaque fabric markers by Tulip. So
Cool.
these are really fun, especially since I'm coloring in mandalas. But I also have fabric paint. I have a couple different brands. Buttercream, it's like the Joanne brand that I've had for a long time. I bought on sale, and it works pretty well. So that's how I got that pretty peach color, because I have like these odd colors, like peach, and this is green and I've got like these weird colors. So
So the brand name's called Buttercream?
it's made by Joanne.
Because I like the pen so far. It's a nice opaque coverage for you.
Yeah, the pen is great. So I use the red and the blue, and it's really bold. I love it. It's like a marker,
Yeah,
but it's fabric paint.
that's cool.
And I like it because it didn't run or bleed. It went exactly where I put it.
That's always a plus.
Yeah, that made me really happy. So
Cool.
far.
So I think they're going to be awesome. Let's see how far you've come on yours.
Cheryl's not got very far.
Oh, but I love the color variations that you got going on there. The 2-tone petals, 3-tone petals, those are really beautiful.
Thank you.
They're going to be great. And they match. You wear a lot of colors that color?
No, to tell you the truth, these will probably never be worn.
Oh.
You can always auction them off, I suppose. You know what would really be nice with those after you put the gems on it?
What's that?
Find some sheer ribbon and lace them with ribbon instead of the shoelaces.
Right. Yeah, that'd be pretty.
That's going to be real pretty.
Cindy, thank you so much for doing this energizing project. It's really fun. It's going to be great to have colorful shoes to wear this summer, and I'm going to wear mine for sure. And I'm going to put a spring in my step and joy in my heart. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Melissa. And thank you all for joining us. Remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, please like, share, comment below, set your notifications, and subscribe. And you'll be golden, so you can know every time we post a new video. And if you can join us someday live, it's on Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific.
And share your pictures of your finished projects. I'd love to see them.
We all would love to see them. So yes, and when you do, please post on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter so that I can see what you created. I'd love to see what you've created, and please tag me on them. So I hope that you create some energizing shoes or tote bag, bonnet, visor, cap,
Apron,
right? Anything like that, and share it with us. Remember to always paint with heart.